Oh, hello there. Welcome into the A to Z Sports Morning Show. I'm your host this morning, Easton Freeze, Titans beat writer and reporter. I am joined by my good friend, JT Runge, and we're talking Titans here on a Thursday. It's should I even acknowledge, whatever, a third string Thursday, a name that still doesn't quite make any sense, but we are here, and it's what you know us by, so we're excited to be with you all on this fine Thursday morning, talking about a little bit of Titans nonsense. And JT, I've got a complaint. I know it's not a Tuesday. I know we're not doing shade, but I'm going to bend the rules a little bit. And I have a shade to share at the top of the show here in a minute about the team in general. I know there's not much to complain about around here. I found a new thing to complain about, and we're going to get to that. Before we talk about a press conference yesterday that went, I don't know, is it fair to say, not so great for Brian Callahan? Also, not so much his fault. Pretty frustrating the way that these press conferences happen and what it sets the coaches up to do and to look like. And we didn't really learn anything on the Jarvis Brownlee Jr. trade. Not that we were expecting to, because the wrong guy was trotted out. We'll get into all of it. It wasn't a good press conference. We didn't learn a whole lot, but we're going to talk about what we think we have learned in the last 36 hours since the trade has gone down. And then, JT, we have some, dare I say, exclusive video on the show this morning. I only think there was only one other television camera. So there, maybe News 4 or something has it this morning. But here on the A to Z morning show, we also have it, and it's not on Twitter. I was lucky to hang around in the locker room long enough yesterday to catch Calvin Ridley. Most of the people had run away and gone back to do their work. I would like to say being noble and diligent in my work, making sure I dotted all my T's and crossed my I's, or the other way around. But really, it was just Nick Suss and I hanging around talking to Quandre Diggs about how Cam used to be too fat to play football. That's a story for another time. And then Calvin showed up. So we talked to Calvin. The first time anyone's talked to him since the weekend. He was pretty straightforward, I'd say, pretty honest about where he's at right now. And we're going to talk about what a turnaround for Calvin Ridley looks like this morning. So a ton to get to. I'll quit my rambling and say, JT, hello. How are you? Good morning. And tell the folks what they need to do.
Yeah, good morning. Nothing's going on in Titans land, right? It's
Nothing
been
new.
pretty status quo. I haven't seen anything for sure, but good morning. It's a third string Thursday, B team Thursday, whatever you like to call it. We're back by popular demand, and it seems like there's a lot of demand in there this morning. But good morning, Brian. Good morning, Scott. Good morning, Daniel, Randy, Ramon, Eric, Robbie, all of you guys in here. It is a great morning this morning to talk about the Titans circus, and we cannot do so unless you guys lock in and like the show. As Hayden says right here, took the words right out of my mouth. Lock in, like the show, folks. Make sure you are liking it. Make sure you are subscribed to both the A to Z Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you are liking the Facebook channel as well. Facebook page, I guess you could call it. I don't know. I don't use Facebook very much outside of business.
Check us out on the Facebooks.
But good to see you all in here. More mornings rolling in. Titans Kyle, Lewis, Paul, Ashley. Good to see all of you guys this morning. It's going to be a very fun show, I think, because once again,
is it? Are you going to have fun? I don't know if I'm going to have fun. We're going to do it.
Listen, like I said, nothing matters anymore. We're just gonna talk. And
if you operate from a framework of nothing meaning anything, then nothing can bother you. It's a fair point. It's a good way to live right now in Titans world, to be honest with you.
It's exciting. People want to hear your shade, though. So shade. As
all right, well, let me start the show officially, and then we'll get to my shade. Welcome in to the A to Z Sports morning show live on a Thursday morning, powered by BTA Sports. We're live every weekday morning at 8:10 Central Time, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links tweeted out segment by segment on our Twitter feed at A2Z Sports, and follow us as well on Instagram and TikTok for more Titans coverage. Leave us a 5-star Google review for A to Z Sports. If you wouldn't be so kind, it's extremely helpful when you guys do that. Google review, 5 stars. Got to thank our sponsors for making the show happen, helping out you guys at home. Wilson County Hyundai, making Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process in Lebanon, or WilsonCountyHyundai.com is what you need to do today. The Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine, boneandjointtn.org. Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs, local and online at bartonjury.com. Botero Carts, life is short. Buy a golf cart with 2 locations to serve you in Columbia and Gallatin, BoteroCarts.com and Window Nation. Buy 2 windows and you'll get 2 for free. Make no payments for 2 years at windownation.com. My shade, JT, is something, and this is gonna be astounding. And as Wes points out, you two are the first string. I tend to agree, but that's neither here nor there. I was listening yesterday to Jern Stillman, and he was talking about the Brownlee situation. That's why I was listening, because he went to Louisville. And so I know that it's fair to say he has better connections to Louisville and where Brownlee played school ball than most. And so I was curious what he had to say, because he claims to have some things. And we'll talk a little bit about what he had to say and what Jim Wyatt had to say and what we had to say here at A to Z Sports, and kind of connecting the dots on all of these things. But before he started talking about Brownlee, he made a point that made me fall to my knees in a Walmart. I mean, it punched right through my chest, through my soul. And I wasn't sure what to do with myself for a moment, because he couldn't be more right. And it's really not even that deep of an observation, but it just kind of hit me where my life is right now. And it made me sad. And his point was that recently, all fall has been in the Titans world has been not football. Like the other 31-ish teams, and some other teams are dealing with nonsense too, but most of the other football teams, they get to a Wednesday and it's like, let's do a game preview. Let's do a film review. Let's talk about the players of the week. Let's talk about the plays of the week from last week. Let's talk about what they need to do different and how the run scheme is impacting the. But we have to talk about nonsense, JT, all the time. All we get to do is talk about nonsense around here, and it sucks, and I hate it. Why is this team the way that it is, so that we can't just talk about football? You and I in particular, we built our careers on talking about the football and not the radio shock jock nonsense, right? That's what we love. That's what we do, is we talk about football. But they've given us no choice but to not talk about the football for almost a month now. And I yearn for the day 3.5 weeks ago where I couldn't wait for the season to begin. And now we're not even a month in, and I already hate all of it because we can't talk about the football. That's my complaint.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say that I agree with you for the most part. But once again, if we're following the line of nothing matters, it's kind of fun to talk about this as well, because once again, it's just
occasion. But when it's all you do, like Cameron's like, you guys love the nonsense, don't lie. I occasionally love a little nonsense sprinkled in. Of course, who doesn't? The NFL is the world's greatest reality TV show. That's part of the fun. But when it's nothing but nonsense, it turns into a daytime soap opera with Stephen A. Smith as a guest star for some reason. And it's like, where's the plot? There's no plot. This is all junk. That's what it is right now. It's all junk, and I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, Stiz in the chat says where you guys could talk about football, and like that's not even great either. Like if we wanted to talk about
people wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here if we were like, oh, today we're going to review the first 3 weeks of the.
We're going to talk about who won between John Ojukwu and Oli Udoh this week in the rotation. I will admit you have a point in which I feel like the picture of Ben Affleck getting his Dunkin' or smoking a cig outside of his his house after this week,
looking beaten down
because of what has gone on. It's been 3 straight days on the show for me, and it's been 3 straight days of nonsense. Because
I've not
because
I've been a prime time, and that's it so far this week. You've been just grinding the nonsense.
We started off the show because of the should Brian Callahan give away his play calling duties? 20 minutes later, I'm giving away play calling duties to the guy that me and Austin said that we didn't want that to happen. And
is that right?
Wow. We both were on the Nick Holtz or bus train, but
poor went out for Nick.
It's been a week, and yeah, I think there is a little bit of truth to that. Like, would it be much more fun to be talking about another step for Elikayu Manor, or maybe potentially Kevin Winston coming back this week? Because that's a story as well. Like, that would be a lot of fun. But no, they had to, and I will segue us into more of this topic, they had to first of all, dump both of those things on Tuesday. Second of all, then roll out Brian Callahan yesterday in what was one of the most pathetic showings of a press conference I have witnessed in all of my time being here with covering the team. It is, and I understand that, like, yes, that was the way it was always going to happen. I think like that is not up for debate. I think it would be way more telling and probably an even worse look if Mike Borgonzi or someone came out and said something. But at this point,
hang on, why? Why do you think that?
It's just not the norm, I feel like, you know?
Yeah, but you're right. So you're right that this is a thing that I want to make sure every Titans fan that's in here can walk away a little bit smarter with. And I'm not saying you're all dumb and you think this, but I have seen some people think this, and I want to clear the air. Each fan base thinks that like the world revolves around them, and it's like every problem we have is an us problem. No, this is like fan bases. They largely have all the same problems. Titans fans have every right to be furious that the coaches get trotted out, or the coach gets trotted out to answer for the front office and for the ownership. And it's like, oh, we're gonna have Mike Vrabel talk about John Robinson because he just got fired, which is crazy because he didn't fire him. And then, oh, we're gonna have Rand Carthon talk about Mike Vrabel because he just got fired, even though he didn't fire him. Nonsense stuff, right? Ridiculous. But the NFL works that way, not the Titans. The NFL works that way, and it's all stupid, and it's all pointless, and it all causes the local media to come on and do this same exact shtick every single time.
Yeah, and so like it goes back to a point, like when was the last time you saw like an owner or a GM or anything like that like talk in the middle of
just Jerry,
like Jerry, and then like we've seen the Browns do it from time to time with their ownership in the past year. Like that's the company that the Titans would be falling into if that were to happen.
You're right, not good
Cowboys.
Company. Fair enough.
It would be the Browns, and so either way, that doesn't happen, and so Brian Callahan has to walk out there with the obvious and clear intention that he was never going to say anything. And it once again kills him.
Well, he wasn't supposed to say anything.
He wasn't supposed to, right? Like
then his better nature bit him in the butt, I'm afraid.
As I was about to get to, it kills him because he goes out there, says, I'm going to leave it at that once again. And then when we start poking and prodding, he doesn't let it go.
Yeah.
And I understand because it's probably really hard to get up there and say, I'm not going to do anything. And then have people for the next 5 or 6 minutes just scream questions at you about that. And the answers were not good. The answers, I don't think, I want to make clear, like, don't give a answer to why he was traded, but it does give more reasons to believe that it was not just we're trading him away because we want to get a better look at other players. Like I cannot sit here this morning and still believe that they traded him just because he wasn't a very, like, I understand that like Baker, according to like advanced metrics, was probably playing better this year and maybe played a little better last year, but like the dude was sound in like the run game. I think
your best run defender.
He is the best run defender, and like that is an important part of your team. So like
led the team in tackles.
There is more. I came away yesterday from the press conference believing there was more than meets the eye than just he wasn't good enough and we wanted to trade him away.
Well, we're going to unpack that. We're going to get to more of the nonsense. We're going to get to a clip from the press conference if you missed what we're talking about. We're going to get to the article that Ryan Roberts and I penned yesterday that caused a lot of tumult on the radio and then on Twitter with Brownlee tweeting at A to Z Sports. And then we're going to clear the air on that. We're going to do all of the things. But first, JT, would you tell our friends about our friends at Window Nation?
Yes, Window Nation. Should we go fun? Should we get it lighthearted a little bit today?
Please, by all means.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll start off lighthearted. Window Nation. Guys, 5 days left in the month of September, and that means that the A to Z September of deals is coming to a close, and you might not get a better deal anywhere than with Window Nation. With Window Nation, you can save big this month. Buy 2 windows, and you'll get 2 for free. make no payments for 2 years. You won't have to deal with monthly payments or a down payment or interest until 2027 when the Titans' new stadium opens. The sale ends September 30th. Like I said, don't miss out. This is Window Nation's most popular offer, and you can schedule a fast, free estimate now with the pros at Window Nation. It's their most popular offer, and they're making it even better because when you do buy 2 windows and get 2 free, you also save an additional 10%. It only lasts 5 more days. Window Nation knows replacing windows is an investment, and they want to make it affordable for you. That's why you got to cash in now when the iron is hot. So, got to call Window Nation. That's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com.
So much more to say, but first, make sure you... there it is.
I'm trying my best, man.
It's all right. BTA Sports, better for better. Just got to tell you about our friends who help run the show around here, dominating the game with BTA Sports. JT, you and I are doing the Best Bet Gauntlet again this year, having a lot of fun doing that. It's always annoying when you start the year in a slump the way that we have, because when you've been betting volume long-term enough like you and I have on the Best Bet Gauntlet, we have over nearing a 500 bet sample size all time. We have been through far worse slumps than this. We have been through like dueling 0-5 weeks between the two of us. And you know that you just have to embrace the suck, continue with the process. And as long as you're a sound better from a process standpoint, using things like BTA Sports to inform your bets and relying on the trends, relying on the metrics, you will get back out of it. And that's why we have over that 500 bet sample size, a 58% winning percentage. But when it's at the beginning of the year, it's very frustrating because people are newer to our operation. They're like, these guys stink. Well, if you think that, you're going to lose out because we're going to make money this year. You just have to trust the process, and we're going to do it with our friends at BTA Sports. All right. Let's start with the clip that we have, or the clips that we have from Brian Callahan's press conference to kind of set the table for anybody that may have missed this press conference yesterday. He was trotted out to answer for the front office about trading Jarvis Brownlee Jr. If you missed the details of that trade, they sent their starting cornerback, 24 years old, to the Jets, along with a 2026 7th round pick to get a 2026 6th round pick in return. So sending him away to upgrade next year, their 7th rounder to a 6th rounder, which when you had a starting caliber cornerback that was a 5th rounder in 2024, he is only 24 years old. Not exactly a value proposition. What's going on here? Brian Callahan, please explain.
I know the Brownlee trade is on everybody's mind on top of it. Those are conversations that we have, and Mike and I have all those conversations. We're in lockstep with those decisions that get made, and those are things that are made for the short-term and the long-term interest of the football team, and that's ultimately what it was. There's short-term there that's part of it, and there's a long-term part of it too that those are the conversations we have. So not more to elaborate on, but those are how those things get made, and that's what we think about when we make them.
What are the short-term and long-term benefits of the trade?
I'm not going to go into too many details of those conversations, but I think how I answered it is how I'm going to stay with it. So,
was he headed for maybe a lesser role if he had stayed around with the emergence of Armour Davis?
I think whether it's a lesser role or not, I think the important part is we do have some players there that we feel good about that are starting to play good football for us and getting ingrained in the systems and starting to have a little bit more action. So those guys that we're looking forward to seeing more of too. Got a couple of Marcus Harris is in there, Jalen Armour Davis, Bake's played well for us. So Snead's playing really good football as well for us on top of it. So we got some guys there that we're excited about.
Do you anticipate that starting spot being taken immediately, or is it going to kind of be a rotational competition for a week or two?
That's the latter, probably more likely. Some competition and some rotation, depending on how the practice goes and how those guys perform. That's part of it. Obviously both Jalen and Bake played last week. That'll probably continue through this week, and we'll see where we get to by game time.
Did he ask to be traded at all?
What's that?
Did he make any kind of request to be traded? Did he want that for him?
None that I'm aware of. No, that's nothing that was brought up to my attention. So no, I don't think so.
Tough draft and develop. He's a young player, started and had some success for you. It's hard for people to kind of put together how your draft and develop operates with trading a young, cheap guy who's showing some talent. Can you help connect the dots there?
Yeah, again, I think it's one of those decisions that get talked about. The details of we'll keep between us, but it's still part of the short-term process and the long-term range goals that we have. And those things are between Mike and I, and then what we see and feel, and we'll keep those things in-house.
I want to take these things one at a time, JT, because I want to talk about what he had to say, and then I want to talk about the smoke on this, right? Like I know that some folks are just here to hear about the radio hit that I did yesterday and going back and forth with Blaine, like, by the way, Blaine and I are good. I really love going on their show. We'll talk about that. And Brownlee on Twitter talking about the article that Ryan and I wrote, like all of that. We will get to that, and we will get to our ultimate, maybe we can even put it to rest, JT. Why did they send Brownlee away? We'll bang the gavel on that and come to a verdict. But first, what was your reaction? And one reaction that I want to share in here from Tall Texan, who says, what's frustrating is the coach saying we're going to keep it in house, only for the reporters to ask nonstop about it. And then in the comments, Bork was like, oh my gosh, that's Easton's voice. Yes, I did ask one of the questions. If you notice, one of the questions the question that I asked in that flurry, I felt like was the only one that was actually suited for the head coach, which was, hey, so who's going to play now? Because that is up to you, right? The rest of it, why did you trade him? What's going on here? Not exactly up to him. When you listened to this in real time, I know you texted me something along the lines of, oh, what a mess. Now that you've had 24 hours, a little less than that, to sit on it, just give me your elevator pitch on why this is a bad idea.
It's such a bad idea on so many levels. First of all, I'm not mad at Brian Callahan. I want to make that clear because I think there was still outrage that like people were saying, and I saw a lot of this on the Titans Twitterverse, which is a fun place to be this time of year. And
no, it's not.
These days. Yeah, it is.
For you, when nothing matters. For the rest of us.
Exactly. Saying like Brian Callahan's in over his head. He can't answer these questions. No, I want to make it clear. Like this is the first time that I'm going to maybe in a while go to bat for Brian Callahan and say like, what else is he supposed to do? Like this was not really his decision. Like, and there is another clip here that I think really kind of both incriminates Brian Callahan in terms of looking foolish, but also shows that like he can't it's not a win-win conversation. It's like a lose-lose conversation for him, right? Because he wasn't the one that made the trade. And obviously he's not going to say anything about it. And he gets pressed about it and there's just nothing he can do because after a whole long week of it all being about Brian Callahan and how he was forced to give up play calling and like had to be walked out there before.
Oh, he chose to give up play calling, JT.
Oh, okay.
It was he was really looking to offload that from his plate. Yes. The thing that he loves the most about football.
Sarcasm is strong today, but like then sending him out there once again, Mike Borgonzi sending him out there to answer for something that he had no control over is pathetic and shameful by the front office. And my anger and my eye rolling and my frustration yesterday was with the front office and Mike Borgonzi and to an extent Chad Brinker for continuing to make Brian Callahan look kind of just like the fall guy, which we know that he is continuously falling on swords this year. And it's ultimately leading towards his demise as the head coach. And this was yet another one that he was forced to lay on. And it's just kind of pathetic at this point. And it makes me just kind of almost feel a little bad for the guy at some point. So.
Oh, I certainly feel bad for the guy. I'm going to go ahead and ask our question here in the chat to get the chat more involved. And our official question is, did yesterday's press conference make the Brownlee trade clearer or more confusing? Are we more or less confused by what we heard yesterday? And let's go ahead and play, JT, while folks are answering that question. That other clip that you alluded to where Brian's better nature gets him in trouble and he contradicts himself.
Fit into that picture for you?
Yeah, it wasn't anything about Jarvis in particular. It was more that these are things that we look at from, again, trying to make sure we have the best team to be able to put forward and then what we have moving forward in the long term. So those are all parts of the conversation.
It wasn't
mentioned the change in the play calling.
It wasn't anything about Jarvis in particular, but you decided to trade a semi-productive 5th round pick in his second year.
Sure.
For a step up from the 7th round to the 6th. So if it wasn't about Jarvis in particular, what was it about?
again, it's about the short-term and long-term goals. I've already elaborated on it. You're not going to get any more details about the conversation. It is what it is.
Specifically, how is it not about the player?
No, it's always about all of it. All those things factor into the process, whether it's the player, whether it's the fit, whether it's what we think we can get for him, whether it's something that adds to the value of our draft capital. Those are all parts of the conversation, and those are decisions that we make as we talk about them.
You get an understanding of it. You said short-term and long-term goals for Brownlee, but entering this year, he was your starting corner, like one of your better corners. Did something change from camp until now to?
I think we've got some other players that are playing pretty good and guys that we're excited about and think that they can help us. So, again, those are all parts of what you weigh when you have that. Guys that can potentially gain you some value in the long term when it comes to draft capital. But we feel good about the guys that we have and how they perform.
All right, we're going to get all your thoughts from the comments on Callahan twisting himself into a pretzel there and needing to take his own advice from the first clip, which is that is all I have to say. I'm not going to add any more to it before he went and added more to it. And we also want to talk about why this happened and why he has to stop this. But first, let me tell you about our friends over at Botero Carts. Life is short. Buy a golf cart. And if you're going to do so, do it with our friends at Botero Carts, where you can get fantastic financial options, 0% financing for 36 months. That's 3 years for those of you keeping track at home. Cards starting at $6,700. They're open every day of the week. It's a full service sale and rental dealership, 2 of them located in Columbia and in Gallatin. So no matter where you are in Middle Tennessee, some Botero location is within arm's reach of you. They're locally owned and operated. They have no dealer fee, no credit card fees, no credit option needed if that's something that you are interested in taking part in. And their carts are all stored indoors, so they are premium, pristine, brand new golf carts available for you at an affordable price, and they're not going to nickel and dime you as you pay those things off. Life is short. Buy a golf cart.
Also, shout out to our friends at BTA Sports. Once again, 5 days left to get in on the ground floor here as football season kicks off, because when you use code ATOZ and download the BTA Sports app in September, you get the full season pass for $99 plus a 14-day free trial. Once again, only available this month. 5 days left. You can use the link in the show description or right below the title on Facebook. BTA, better for bettors. Easton, once again, I'll tell you the same thing I told Austin yesterday. They're Thursday Night Football tonight, and BTA has the line at least a 5-point difference than what the books have it. So you can get your edge there tonight. What it is, I won't say. You got to use BTA to find out. I certainly will be using that as well. BTA, better for bettors.
What is it? Cardinals Seahawks tonight? Is that
yes.
Right? Okay.
It's going to be 9-6 or something, obviously.
A riveting bird matchup this evening. I'll send you to the comments, JT. We asked, does this press conference we listened to yesterday make it clearer or more confusing as to why the Titans traded away Jarvis Brownlee Jr.? What are the folks saying?
Yeah, no. Darren says nope. It does not. Kendall
All right,
says
so our next topic on the show.
Kendall says just one sympathy point. That's all. He gives Callahan one sympathy point. Okay. Cam Ward in the chat says it's crystal clear. Thanks, Cam.
Thanks, Cam. Well, I'm glad Cam understands what's going on. Yeah. That's good.
Maven says it's more confused. Swan says more confused. Kendall says it is clear. B-Bird says confused. Burning says confused. Titans Kyle says confused. Adam says who cares? Move on. No, because I think it does. It is. Spoiler alert: I do think it's more confusing because for one reason that I haven't heard really anybody talk about. Oh. Demario says more confusing. Darius says it made it 1,000,000 times more confusing. More confusing. Ann says I'm not confused. I just think Callahan lied. Potentially. Eric says. Eric Castillo says clear as muddy water.
Well, that's not
clear as mud. More confused. Jeremy says it's just confusing. It makes more sense.
Makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, that. Here's the problem, JT, and like this is people could probably understand this about Brian Callahan, but if it's really what got him in trouble here, and I say trouble advisedly because again, I don't think any of us are blaming him. I mean, some people just want to be mad at Brian no matter what, which whatever it is what it is. Like I saw some people on Twitter being like, oh, Brian must think we're stupid. Relax. His blessing as a coach and as a communicator is that he is genuinely interested in explaining things thoroughly to us and communicating with the media. And 99% of the time, that's fantastic. Of course, we want more information, not less. Always. That's what the media does. We try to get more information on things. And so we really appreciate that about him and have loved that element of him at the podium this past year and change. It is when he is sent out there, as you put it, in a lose-lose situation where he is not going to help himself in any way beyond just saying some general, we traded him, we're in lockstep, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Like, that needs to be the message. And he says that to begin, but he can't help himself but to continue to try to give little bits of context, and to also, he can't help himself. He's just like, Brian Callahan's a nice guy. He is. It's his nature. He's one of the nicest guys in coaching, probably. And so he's not going to bury a player. He's not going to kick a guy, certainly on the way out the door. And so he goes and he says that it's not about Brownlee, when it's obviously about Brownlee. And so then Paul Kaharski ends up having to grill him, which Paul did the right thing in pushing on that question. But that's something that can't happen because it's obviously untrue. Everyone understands that it's untrue. We understand why Brian's saying it. Like, yes, he's saying it because he doesn't want it. No coach wants to be the guy who gets the reputation of, when you're playing for me, I like you, but the second you're not playing for me, I'm going to kick you, right? Especially if you're down in any way. So don't kick him, but don't lie about it either. You know what I mean? And so I said on the radio yesterday when Blaine and Zach, I was on with them on 104.5. They're like, why did he say this? And my answer is he shouldn't have. He shouldn't have, because it's not true.
Yeah, there's so many different avenues with this. One, the question I do want to bring up, especially with the Brownlee thing, this, and we get into what you and Ryan Roberts did. Ryan Roberts did a lot of digging with former NFL area scouts, current NFL area scouts, talking to different coaches from both Florida State and Louisville about what went down during the pre-draft process, which I think for some people, like, that makes it so much clearer to me why he fell, because the talent was at the time was way higher than a fifth round. But like, agreed, we see these drops happen all the time. And so I think that made a lot of sense. You look back at what, some of the red flags that came up this offseason. I said yesterday on the show, I certainly felt a different vibe from Jarvis Brownlee Jr. than I did when he came into the league last year, because I think when you look at it from his perspective, like, this was a young guy, like, being a little louder than everyone else to make his name known and vie for that potential spot on the team last year. Now that he was firmly in place, it felt a lot more like those things looked like red flags than green flags to me. You go back to the Tampa situation where he threatens to fight an entire group of Tampa Bay fans during a joint practice. Big red flag for what you want to do. You go
to be
back.
Clear, I loved that. I can understand why his coaches didn't love that. I personally loved that. I still endorse that decision.
You talk about what he said after the Denver game, which we played yesterday, and we might play that clip again. Like, you go back and you look at that answer specifically. That is not something you want to hear from your cornerback. That after an entire year of us going into defensive coordinator press conferences and asking what Jarvis Brownlee Jr. needs to do to get better and to grow as a young corner in this league, and Denard basically saying flat out that, like, he needs to do this, this, and this to get better. And then Jarvis Brownlee Jr. continuing not to do that, and then going into year two, making the same mistakes, and coming out of that first game saying, I'm not going to make those mistakes, or I'm not going to make those changes to correct those mistakes. Another big red flag. No longer is it that's how he is. He's young. He's learning. Year two, saying that he's not going to change again. Another big red flag. The one where I still just cannot wrap my head around it is, like, you knew who this was, right? You know Jarvis Brownlee. You know these tendencies. And you still went into the year. Like, I get that. All these red flags are all well and good. this is where I'm going to turn it on its head a little bit, because once again, I think this is a very nuanced situation. You knew all of these things coming into the year, and you still expected him to be your starting corner outside of L'Jarius Sneed. I think that's not a stretch of the imagination to say that, right? You come into the year with L'Jarius Sneed and Jarvis Brownlee Jr. Because you let Chidobe Awuzie leave. It looks pretty bad now that you let Chidobe Awuzie leave. You promote Jarvis Brownlee to be your bona fide cornerback 2 on a pretty bad defense and need a lot out of him. And then when the going gets tough once again, he just doesn't do it, and you want to just let him go. I don't understand it from that way. But I do understand in some aspects, like, there is another reason to say, hey, he's not going to change. Let's just get ahead of it. Because we also did bring up, and I think you bring up this word culture, he wasn't a fit. There is the potential, once again, like me and Austin said on the show yesterday, if he's not going to change, if he's going to continue to play with this, I'm going to play the way I want to, and when it doesn't work, I'm not going to change. I'm going to have this mopey type of attitude about it, does that indicate a potential guy who is going to start the losing of the locker room? Mm-hmm. And I think that is also a part of it. And when you say culture, I believe when you say that, you're trying to say, like, this is a guy that could potentially start to derail the locker room in a year where they really need this locker room to continue to stay as is.
That's what this was. It was a move because he wasn't a culture fit. And I said that over and over on the radio yesterday, and Blaine and Zach pushed me on, well, what does that mean that he wasn't a culture fit? And what is the culture of this team, right? And I don't have all the answers on that right now. It's like, I wish I had a better answer for you on why he wasn't a culture fit. That part we have to speculate on, and I'm going to here in a moment. All I do know is that really is what happened, is that he wasn't a culture fit. First of all, I hate being put in this position because you and I loved Brownlee's game. I still love Brownlee's game. When he's playing on the field, he's rough around the edges. He can be sloppy and handsy. And listen, he's a 5'10.5", below 50th percentile arm length cornerback who they were playing on the outside. He needs to play nickel, right? I think he can be a fantastic nickel, and I think he can hold his own on the outside. But part of the reason why he gets called for penalties the way that he does on the outside is because he's having to play so aggressive and compensate for the fact that he's not nearly as long as some of these guys. He's just physically limited on the outside. And maybe in New York, I don't know quite yet how they plan on using him, but I hope it's on the inside and he can flourish there. And I'm still going to be a fan that roots on his game because I just love the way that he plays football. I do. I have since before he was drafted. So I hate being put in these positions where we have to kind of dig on what happened here. Because the reality of the situation is that something obviously happened. They decided he needed out of the building no matter the price, right? This was not, I don't understand how so much of the conversation is dominated by how could they possibly think this was a good value? They don't. They obviously don't. I don't know why. You know what I mean, JT? I don't know why that's a question that we are pontificating 7 ways from Sunday on the radio all week long. Is like, well, what did they think the value here was? They didn't. They wanted him gone. They shopped him for weeks. They took the scraps that they could get and they got him out. So we have to try to figure out why that is. And that's why articles like what Ryan and I wrote yesterday are written. It's why we come on the radio yesterday like I did and come on the morning show today and talk about what could have happened here. And the reality is I think it's fair for you and I to separate the on-field play, the tenacity of this player, the upside of this talent that we really, truly love from what it sounds like the guy was between Monday and Saturday, which was not a culture fit for this team. And I hear what you're saying. I think it's a smart observation for what you're saying that okay, he's not a culture fit. What the heck happened then coming into the year, making him a starter? And I don't know. I think the generous read is that they come in with him as a starter because they feel like they have no choice, because L'Jarius Sneed is still a big question mark up in the air. As much as they may have questioned Brownlee's ability to be a team player back in the spring, they did not want to bring back Awuzie because they felt like he was just not going to be a guy that was going to contribute for them. Now, they may have been wrong about that, but clearly they decided we'd rather take our chances with Brownlee in terms of our timeline in this year than bringing back Awuzie for what we're paying him. And the rest of McCreary is what he is, right? We know he's the only thing really that's locked down there. And the rest of the room is such a big question mark that we can't afford to not take a gamble leaning on Brownlee for now. And we're just going to cross our fingers that we can make it work. And maybe the plan was that we'll start with him, and then hopefully behind the scenes we can get Jalen Armour-Davis, who they claimed on waivers, or Marcus Harris, who they drafted. Let's get these guys up to speed and start easing them in. And maybe if things hadn't happened the way that happened behind the scenes, and Brownlee hadn't, I think pretty clearly in their eyes, Brownlee forced their hand to get him gone, then maybe that would have been a slower process and we'd have seen that happen more organically. But because they decided he had to go now, it leads me to believe that, and as Amnesia leaves in a super chat, is there a slight chance that something happened between JBJ and a staff member and they're not blasting him to the media, just they're being professional about it? Sure, there's a chance. Like, nothing's off the table. I'm not saying I am not saying that happened. I'm not speculating that happened, but I am saying that clearly something happened. Maybe it was a Brownlee problem. Maybe it was a team problem. Maybe both are at fault, but something happened since the beginning of this year that led them to decide he needed to go.
Yes. The last thing I want to say on this real quick, because we talked about there being more smoke about his personality and the red flags looking differently than they did last year in a year one to year two leap. Talked about the confusion of the idea that, they go with him. What happened? Something we still don't know and probably will never know, to be fair, just because that's going to stay in-house. The one that I see a lot of the chat coming back to is the draft, develop, and retain type of narrative here, which I think is not as set and dry, or, as...
I want to talk about that. I understand the pushback for sure.
There absolutely is pushback, and I know our fellow co-worker here at A to Z Sports, Buck, had a very different viewpoint to what we were saying last night on how can you trade a young guy like this when you're drafting and developing and retaining and things like that. It's an embarrassment when you're trading young players back or whatever like that. Here's the thing that I'll say about that. How can you create a culture when you're letting guys go like that? And I think Tall Texan hits it on the head. Outwardly admitting to being uncoachable like he did after the Denver game and knowing that that's his kind of personality there, it's not a culture fit. And this is a different type of culture from last year to this year. Jarvis Brownlee Jr. was a Rand Carthon draft pick. We are now under Mike Borgonzi's building of the culture. And when people say, what culture exactly are you even talking about with this team? There is none, right? Because Mike Borgonzi is trying to build it with these new players, with the Alec Iamanners, with the Cam Wards, with the Kevin Winston Jr.'s of the world. That is what he's trying to do. So yes, this team is still absolutely a mess because there is no culture. That's what Mike Borgonzi is trying to do. And I think to wrap this all up from my perspective, when you are trying to build that culture, you got to get rid of the guys who are going to actively try to harm that building of the culture, as this team most likely loses another 7-8 games over the next 10 weeks, if we're being realistic, because that seems like where it was going from the start of this season. And I think that's where that's where I'm going to end it, the conversation.
Well, and Lisa Super Chat says Jarvis Brownlee Jr.'s culture was stronger than the team's culture. I want to talk about how this jives with the draft and develop. I also want to talk about the difference, in my opinion, between this front office regime and the last one. But first, JT, tell our friends about the Bone and Joint Institute.
Yeah, the Bone and Joint Institute. Don't fumble your recovery. They are the region's destination for all of your needs when you get hurt in life. the Bone and Joint Institute is located in Franklin with over a dozen specialists who can help you go through any type of injury. They have a state-of-the-art rehab facility on campus to help you recover, and they can do everything under one roof for your convenience: clinic, testing, imaging, surgery, and rehab. To schedule an appointment, go to boneandjointtn.org. Once again, they are the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine.
Shout out our friends at BTA Sports. BTA Sports, better for bettors, dominating the game with BTA Sports, as JT said, going to be leaning on them tonight, betting a little Thursday night football. JT, I have, as a side project, been doing some primetime props, 2 or 3 or 4, whatever stands out to me for each primetime game each week. And I went 0-4 on Monday night. The slump from our best bet gauntlet is magnified on my props, but I will be profitable by the end of the year if it kills me. So those of you riding with me, we will get there. Do not worry about it. And tonight we start the comeback. Don't even sweat. We got a long season, plenty of bets to place. We're going to trust the process. We're going to do it with BTA Sports. So this idea of how can you be a draft and develop team, but you're sending away draft picks, right? Like, what's the deal here? I think you kind of touched on it, where first and foremost, he wasn't their guy, right? He was not Mike Borgonzi's guy. And that's made clear by the fact that he wanted him out for whatever the price was. And it was a culture fit thing. I think the thing that we collectively got the most wrong about Mike Borgonzi when we were trying to project what his administration was going to look like from a player standpoint was looking at the way that Kansas City, in the later years, the more recent years of their dynastic build, and saying, well, they worked around a lot of red flags, right? They weren't afraid of drafting players with injuries. They weren't afraid of drafting players with off-field makeup red flags. They weren't afraid of trading for or bringing in guys that may have been questionable locker room guys elsewhere in the NFL, right? Like, that's a team that was able to absorb some stuff. And so I guess Mike Borgonzi is going to turn the Titans into a team that can absorb some stuff. I think we were dead wrong about that. I think that Mike Borgonzi has made it pretty clear already in his time here that at the beginning of this build, a team timeline that couldn't be any different from where the Chiefs are right now. And maybe eventually he maybe in year 7, he changes the way that he operates when this team's in a different place. But right now, he and Chad Brinker are dead set on building the culture of this team around, for lack of a better term, like Boy Scout team captain types. And so that's where talking about culture fit, what's a culture fit? It's not, to me, JT, it's not this binary thing where it's like, well, you can have good culture or bad culture. There's more than one way to skin the cat in terms of building a locker room culture, to me. I think some teams pretty clearly build their culture around we want the smartest players. We want the guys that just know, like, we want the cerebral types. Some teams build their teams around we want the guys that are great locker room guys, that are the Boy Scout types, that are team captain types, and it's a leadership build. And then there's other teams that clearly build their rosters around we want the best athletes. We want to be the off-the-bus team. We want to be bigger and stronger and faster than you. And if that means we don't have the sharpest knives in the drawer, if that means we don't have maybe the greatest speakers at the podium or the greatest locker room guys in the world, who cares? We've got the better football players, and that's what we're building around. And I think all three of those things are different ways that you can build good teams those ways. You can, because there are, like, not every player in the league can be the smartest player you've ever met. Not every player in the league is going to be a Boy Scout who's great at the podium. And they are still really good at football because there's a lot of really good football players. I say all that to say the Titans under Ran Carthon, to me, felt more like a team interested in accumulating raw talent, being bigger, faster, stronger, worried mostly about how good can this guy be in terms of a athletic prospect. And with
the RAS king.
Yeah. And now I think under Borgonzi, you're seeing a transition to they are really invested in smart players who are team captain types. And this is not like me backhanded saying that, oh, every Rand Carthon draft pick is actually a moron. These guys are idiots and they're bad people and they're not locker room guys. Not what I'm saying. Not what I'm saying at all. But as much as I like Jarvis Brownlee Jr. as a physical talent, is he a Boy Scout type? I don't think Jarvis would tell you that. Is he a team captain type? I mean, he said to us at one point he wanted to become that. And maybe one day he can. But right now, I just don't think that was the reality for him as a player, as a young player, still developing as a person and as a player. Was he the smartest, most cerebral player on the team? I don't think so. And I'm not saying he's dumb. He doesn't strike me as somebody that's like a real football savant in that way. I think he's just more athletic and more tenacious and stronger and more of a dog than you. And that's how he wins. And I love that about the way that he plays. I think that you see that a little bit in T'Vondre Sweat, right? Like T'Vondre is just literal God's gift to football. Like God himself said, here, I'm going to create this man that's just going to be impossible to stop on the football field. Here you go. And that's T'Vondre Sweat. And that's not to say that he's dumb. That's not to say that he's not a locker room guy. Again, I'm trying to be very careful and clear here. But his strength is his strength and his size. I think the same is with J.C. Latham, an unbelievable, naturally gifted tackle prospect who I think is a good locker room guy. I think he knows what he's talking about with football, obviously. I think that he's a smart, coachable player. But those guys, their strengths, if we're like picking Mario Kart characters, it's like, what's their best attribute? It's their physicality, right? It's their God-given athleticism. With this most recent draft class, there felt to me, and JT, feel free to disagree, like a pretty tangible shift towards we want guys that are like literal team captain types. Femi Oladejo is a freak athlete, don't get me wrong. But all the team talked about was how we just love the kid. We think that he's really smart. We think that he's made of the right stuff between the ears. Cam Ward, same thing. Obviously a freak athlete. But we love his mental makeup. The guy's got it. And you get so excited about that in a quarterback because not every quarterback is like that in the evaluation process. I think the same was said about just about all of these guys, right? A lot of the guys they brought in free agency as well, like Tyler Lockett, great podium guy, great locker room guy, savvy veteran. Is he the best athlete in the world at this point? No. But is he going to be a value to the team in those other ways in terms of a culture building way? Yes. Cody Barton, same thing. So that's kind of my general thesis on the biggest change here and why Brownlee maybe wasn't a culture fit for what they're trying to build now. Not to say that not to say that he's a bad culture guy. He's just a different culture guy.
Yeah, I think that's the
too many words.
I think that's the perfect way to end off the conversation, because as Jason Dyson has been saying all day, he says, next subject, please, on to Houston.
I feel you, man. I get it.
We'll
put a bow on this tomorrow. Yeah. I don't know what the show's going to be about, but I promise it's not going to be about the Brownlee trade. We will be talking about the game. I promise. Super
chats real quick. King VC, lock in, like the show, guys. Get those likes up. It goes a long way for us. Make sure you're locking in. We appreciate you. Andre says, Buck did contradict y'all a lot. That in itself is interesting. This team has a habit of loving a guy 1 year and then saying he's a horrible fit in the next.
Well, this team has a habit of being under a new administration every year. So
this is true. This is
kind of how that works.
Cam Ward says A to Z supports the Titans narrative. As Andre just said, breaking news. People can have different opinions. That's how it works sometimes.
Well, I don't even think we're necessarily supporting the Titans narrative. Again, everything we've said this morning, JT, has been us diagnosing why they felt they should do it. I wrote in 2 different articles in the wake of this coming out that in my gut, I feel like this is something that's going to burn them. So, but I believe both things at the same time. Like here, we just spent an hour going through all of the things. Here's why they felt that this wasn't going to work. Cool. Now, also at the same time over here, Brownlee's going to New York. He's probably going to play. And I would bank on him playing pretty well and developing. And like, we may be talking about this over and over and over, as annoying as that will be, the rest of the year. And then we'll think we're over it. And then we'll get to the draft. And that 6th round pick will come up, and then the ESPN guys will be like, this is the pick that the Titans traded Jarvis Brownlee Jr. away for. He had 14 PBUs and 2 interceptions with the Jets last year, and the Titans are taking a white cornerback out of Alcorn State. We'll see if he can live up to the Brownlee. Like, that's going to be the narrative all over again in the spring. So the Brownlee trade really might burn them. But what I'm trying to say is that they clearly felt that it was worth potentially being burned for the sake of the culture of this team. And I find that interesting. I'm not saying that that's the right decision. I think it's clearly the decision they made. Just a diagnosis.
Yeah. Heat check by Billy. Yes or no? If the Titans were winning, would he have been traded?
It's a great question. Wow. I don't think so, because if there was an attitude problem at all, which I'm not saying there was, but if that's what led to this, then I think his attitude would have been different because they've been winning. You know what I mean? Like, it had been going well. So even guys that are attitude problems tends to have good attitudes on good teams. That's how teams like Kansas City can absorb the attitude problem guys, because vibes are just good. They're just winning games usually.
All right. Amnesia says people are just too worried about a storyline. I think we're getting to the end of the conversation here.
We are.
So should we talk a little bit about
any more
Houston?
super chats to get to?
No,
sure. Let's table the Calvin thing for tomorrow. we will get to Calvin and
okay.
what he means for this Houston conversation. I don't want to. We're out of time. I want to give it the time that it deserves. So I'll write about that today if you're interested.
And then Amnesia says Titans trade JBJ. In other news, water is wet.
Did we talk about King VC locking in and like the show? I don't want to disrespect.
I absolutely did.
Okay, well, double for King VC this morning. We love you, King. And he's right. Lock in and like the show. Hit the like button right now if you haven't. JT, since you and I are only going to have this chance to talk about Houston before we are the hosts for the game day show at the Landshark Bar and Grill downtown on Broadway, looking forward to that. What right now, a couple of days out, is most firmly on your mind for this slop fest of a someone must win 0-3 battle?
If the Titans can't get even 1 centimeter of pressure on CJ Stroud, I might as well. I might go into hiding. I don't want to watch this anymore. Like, it's unexcusable. Like, that's when I will be at the gates of Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park with a sign saying, "Bring out Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker because we need answers." How did you think this was going to work?
Okay, but hang on. How did you think? How do you think? Like, you're sitting here saying they have to get pressure. I understand. I feel the same way. They must find a way. But also, when I step back and think about it, how do you think they'll do that? Do you think there's a world in which they do that? Because I do not.
Yes. Because the Texans O-line is that bad.
Well, okay, fair enough.
It is wet. It is a wet piece of paper. it is to bring up the water is wet conversation here. It is more soaked than the Titans offensive line right now, I will say. And when you say, like, what did you expect? I'll go to The Incredibles. Something amazing, I guess. I don't know, because apparently because the whole conversation here is that we're not going to go out and get anybody who's going to be, a beast off the edge. We're going to scheme up pressure. We're going to get so many different looks at you that we're going to be able to get pressure that way. And that has not worked. So if it doesn't work this week, it's not going to work at all. That's my big thing I'm looking for right now.
Okay, fair enough. I will, I'll just second you on that, because I think that what will be interesting to me is if they do manage to get pressure, how does it come? Because as much as I agree with you that this Texans O-line is a big problem, and if the Titans can't find a way to get pressure on them, then they really are just going to be doomed this year. As Denard Wilson kind of alluded to in his press conference this week, he needs to do more in terms of generating pressure from a scheme standpoint. I don't think that this team is doing enough in terms of games on the interior to find a way to get interior pass rush, find ways to get Femi Oladejo, who I think would be best suited at this point in his career to be like gaming off of Jeff Simmons or Sebastian Joseph Day, finding ways to loop and take an inside lane and get after the quarterback. As Zach Lyons, our buddy, jokingly but also not jokingly pointed out the other day, Femi Oladejo is unstoppable when he's unblocked, which sounds like a ridiculous thing to say. But genuinely, when he can get a lane to the quarterback, he's going to get to the quarterback. That's the way he has to win at this point in his career because he's not beating tackles one-on-one on the edge. He's just not. He's still developing in that way. So find ways to get that guy involved. Find ways to get your blitzing cornerbacks and safeties involved. Find ways to send these linebackers who you value their ability to trigger downhill. Find ways to get them into interior lanes and put pressure on the quarterback. That's on Denard to do this weekend, and I'm very curious to see how he does it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. One more thing, because I'm sure you guys will talk about it tomorrow, maybe. I don't know. Okay. This is me just throwing it out there, but I want to get my voice in here at least once. You asked a great question to Brian Callahan through the madness of Jarvis Brownlee Jr. yesterday about where Bo Hardigree will be calling plays from. Will he be calling them from the sideline? Will he be calling them from the booth? Brian Callahan said he's not sure yet. He's still figuring that out. Here, let me just say this, and we don't really have time for me to go into it, but if Bo Hardigree is calling plays from the booth, it's no better than Callahan or Colts or anybody else calling plays at that point.
Why?
I think the whole point is that I thought Bo Hardigree needed to still be there with Cam in some aspect on the field, to be there as a presence for him on the sideline as he's coming off the field, as he is looking to prepare for the next set of downs in the next offensive drive. I think it's going to be harder for him to do that now that he has to do play calling as well on the sideline, but I think it's still doable. If he's not down there at all, I think it's a failure.
Okay, well, let's see where he plays or calls plays from this weekend, and then let's then see how the offense looks against a defense that may very well eat their lunch because they're very good. We got some sports trivia to get to end today on a high note, but first let me tell you about our friends at Barton Drury Insurance Group. They cover your risk and they empower confidence. Customized solutions for all your insurance needs at bartondrury.com. Truly a one-stop shop for your personal and business insurance. Austin and Zach purchased from them for A to Z's employer insurance needs. They had a number of different options and plans. The responsiveness was fantastic. The experience with the service team was top notch. They loved the levels of expertise that they were provided. They sell everything from employee benefits to 401k planning to life insurance, workers' comp, liability, auto, property, umbrella, and surety bonds. They are local right here in Nashville, and they strive to provide excellent service, but they also make sure to take the time to make sure everyone understands their insurance policies. They are the experts. Let them help you out at Barton Drury Insurance Group, bartondrury.com. All right, JT, time for some sports trivia. Shout out Wilson County Hyundai. Make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process at wilsoncountyhyundai.com or in Lebanon. And of course, not to shortchange BTA, Better for Betters. Check them out. Use our link in the description below to get a 14-day free trial to BTA Sports. All right, JT,
You have the trivia?
I do. I'm
okay.
sharing the screen. I am ready when you are.
I'm ready.
Hit it.
Wow, that was perfect.
Clean.
Orlando said, where is he? He said 4.5.
All right. A standard over-under for the morning. We have some baseball on here and some college football. That bodes well for us. We'll start with the.
I will just say real quick before we start. I know we weren't able to do trivia yesterday. I think it's good that we dodged a bullet on trivia because I went back later in the day and tried to do it. There was not a question relevant. There was one question that was relevant for today, but all the other questions were about things that happened in 1999 or earlier. I was not going.
Oh, is that right? It was an UNC chart.
Yes, it was not great. So
all right. Well, here we go. We'll start with the NFL. Chat lock in. Need your help. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. NFL. In 2020, Gary Kubiak returned to coaching as he was the offensive coordinator for this NFC North team. What was that? The Vikings?
I think it's the Vikings.
I don't want to miss the first one. I want the chat to confirm here, but I feel like it's the Vikings. I should know this based on how recent this was. Detroit. Oh, was it Detroit?
Well,
oh, crap. No, Donald says Vikings. Oh no. Minnesota. All right, we're gonna go with Vikings.
I think it's the Vikings.
Going with Vikings. Nice. Geography. What is the capital of Italy?
Florence.
It's not Rome. Are we sure? It's Florence.
Oh, is it Rome?
I don't know. I don't know. I
don't know much about
Crap.
Italy, except they
I've
have
not been, and I don't.
good
I
pasta.
sure.
Rome.
Chat
Ann
Rome. All right.
Ann Herndon
Been
says
there.
Rome.
All right,
Been
all right,
there.
Rome. Keep it simple, stupid. Produced by Rooster Teeth. Produced by Rooster Teeth from 03 to 2021.
Red versus blue.
All right.
I'm such a nerd.
The Blood Gulch Chronicles.
Yeah.
All right. No idea what that is, but good stuff. The same year he had the lead role in Avatar. Sam Worthington had the lead role playing Perseus, son of Zeus, in this 2010 action fantasy remake.
Percy Jackson.
Was it Percy in 2010?
I don't.
That's too early for them to have done it. Or it was a remake. They hadn't made Percy Jackson. It was Clash of Titans. It was Clash of Titans.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. All right. Music. Bustin' makes me feel so good. That's crazy that they made me read that on the internet.
Yeah.
Dadgummit. Their lyrics from this song from the top 10 on the Billboard end of year top or Hot 100 in 1984.
I know.
It's like I still can't get over the fact that I had to read that.
Go
Ghostbusters? Oh, we're so stupid. That's crazy. All right, snacks and candy. In 1946, the popsicle brand introduced this popular treat that was originally known as chocolate ice milk. Huh?
Nesquik? Popsicle brand. I have no idea, actually. I don't know why I said that.
I mean, like a fudge. Is it just a fudge bar?
Fudgesicle?
Fudge.
Ann Herndon.
Yeah, Fudgesicle. That's got to be what it is. Fudgesicle. Yep. MLB. This first baseman is currently the MLB career hits leader among active players.
Goldschmidt?
I don't know. JT, do you feel good about that?
I want to hear the chat confirm, but I feel like Paul Goldschmidt is
the first baseman.
Or Freeman. It might be Freddie.
I bet it is Freddie.
I would say Freddie or Goldschmidt.
Let's do Freddie. Nice. College football. Before becoming a quarterback coach and a pass game coordinator for the Eagles and the Commanders, Brian Johnson led this current day Big 12 school to a 13-0 record in 2008. Oh gosh. Austin would know this. Where did Brian Johnson coach in the Big 12? When I was 8 years old. Utah? Sure. Anybody want to confirm that? Utah. All right.
He says Utah a bunch. So
fair enough.
Oh,
ooh, is that Adam Devine?
No.
Right? Adam Devine? No?
I don't think so.
His neck's kind of too long, isn't it? Who is it then? It's not Eddie Redmayne, is it? I have no idea who that woman is on the
Connie Britton's face?
Sure. If you say so. All right.
Listen. Ann Herndon is the GOAT today.
She's all over it.
She's all over it today.
Who's the guy?
That's his hair.
It is Adam Devine's hair. Like,
is it actually?
Well, I mean, it's his hairstyle, but it may be too red to be actually him because he has pretty brown hair, I feel like. But that's what made me think Eddie Redmayne.
We got 30 seconds. We got to...
I have no idea who this guy is. It's like generic. It's the most generic white guy look ever. Chris Chrisley? Oh, it might be Chrisley. Let's try Chrisley. Since we're trying to get under the... Not Savannah. Ugh. Is Chris Chrisley even a...
I don't think it's an H. I think it's like CR. I meant the last name.
No, it is CH. Because I saw Savannah, and that's his daughter, Savannah Chrisley. So it's...
we were so close. That's so sad. All right, well...
Chris Chrisley. Not Christ Chrisley. Goodness.
People are saying Adam Devine.
Was I right about... let's just try Adam Devine. Screw it. I think we're wrong, but whatever. That was it. I should have gone with my gut. Dadgummit!
It's my bad. Hey.
That's on you.
In the words of now 2 Titans coaches, we have to play better. We got to coach better here on trivia. So,
well, we did go 9 for 9. So
listen, Ann Herndon gets all of my respect. Look at this. Ann, speech. The absolute GOAT.
Crushing it today.
Of trivia today.
Oh, all right. Well, that's our show. We will have coverage from the Titans facility today. Not coordinators, position coaches will be speaking. Does that mean Bo Hardegree speaks again because he's the QB coach still? Probably not, but we'll see. Check it out. Check out some stuff being written over at AtoZsports.com as well. And check out our live game day show at Margaritaville, upstairs in Margaritaville. The Margaritaville bar on Broadway has the Land Shark Bar and Grill on second floor, and it is a fantastic place to spend genuinely all Sunday long. Traveler whiskey and Miller Lite deals so that you can drink your Titan sorrows away if you so choose, depending on how that game goes. JT and I will be there for the Titans game and probably for the late afternoon games, hanging out. Come see us. Come watch ball with us. It's going to be a good time. Until tomorrow, I'm Easton. He's JT. Austin and I will talk to you. Same place, same time tomorrow.